Hi, I'm Rasmus Sørensen, and this is SEO in 2024, Additional Insights.
Rasmus, what's your additional insight for SEO in 2024?
Well, it's basically how small changes in SEO e-commerce can make a big impact on rankings and traffic.
Small changes. Okay, so what small changes are we talking about here?
Yeah, as opposed to always going full on with audits and trying to rank on those very high volume keywords, we've experienced over the years that just doing small things to your site can make a big impact. For example, we're in the e-commerce space selling blinds and curtains, and we figured that since it's made to measure, made to order, just putting those small words on the pages made a huge difference for us. So we became visible on made to order, bespoke, custom made, and so on. And we really didn't have that on the pages. So just adding a small sentence to a page made a huge difference on those not so popular but long tail keywords that really made conversions for us.
Interesting. Okay. And are we talking about page titles, meta descriptions, headings, any particular element?
Yes, both. We basically just made a snippet on the site where in a corner we said custom made or made to measure, and had that populated on all the pages. So a little bit of content on each page that just emphasizes that we did made to measure, for example. So just a sentence basically on each page did a huge difference for us.
And are you doing keyword research on these phrases? Because obviously there are many different phrases that people could use. So how do you determine them?
Yes, a very good question. Yes, we've always been made to measure. It's kind of been the theme for us. But we looked at it and said, well, what about made to order? What about bespoke? What about custom made? And all these different variations of the same thing essentially. And used some of those and figured out from keyword research, one of those had higher volume than the other. So we added that variation to our pages and saw a great increase in traffic on those bespoke terms. So yes.
And you still need to add all variations nowadays, or is Google not clever enough to actually understand
they are very clever
context and it's similar words? So will we still rank for phraseology, similar phraseology that's not necessarily included in the same page?
Yes, at least the single and plural versions is Google very good at. But we realized that the difference between, let's say, custom made and bespoke and made to order, Google really couldn't figure out the difference. So we added variations of those to the pages. If Google figure it out eventually, we really don't know. But yes, we actually use some of the variations where it made the most sense. So we looked at keyword volumes, and customers sometimes said made to order, sometimes said custom made, and we used those variations accordingly. So yeah.
And did you just tweak certain key pages, or did you add those? So you didn't add those phrases to every page that was important to you?
Yeah, we actually did both. So we added the highest volume version to all the pages as a tagline or a snippet, and then we went into specific pages and saw for specific products that customers were more prone to search, let's say, made to order than custom made, and added that variation to that particular page. So we basically had both on a lot of the pages. But yes, we went into specific pages and cared for those specifically. But the big impact came when we just added the same snippet actually to all the pages. And suddenly they all had a little bit different theme in Google's eyes, and we started ranking for them.
Interesting. Okay. And do you find that if you add specific phrases like that are important for your customers, that it'll also impact click-through rates from the SERP as well?
Absolutely. That's a very good question as well. Yeah, because the pages were more relevant. Our customers suddenly realized what we did in essence. Now selling in blinds and curtains, we actually only selling custom made or made to order, made to measure. Basically, was one of the phrases. So that seemed to increase click-through rates because people were really aware that what we are doing specifically, that it was custom made rather than off the shelf. And so yeah.
And are you just focusing on Google, or are you focusing on other search engines as well?
We are focusing on especially being in Google. Google obviously being the big one, but being a UK company, or our biggest businesses in the UK, Bing is certainly a player for us as well. So we focus on both. And we are international, so we have companies in Japan, for example. So obviously there we're focusing on the more popular Japanese search engine. But it's primarily Google.
And looking at Bing, is there anything different that you have to do to optimize for Bing?
In general, I think what works well on Google works well for us on Bing. So we don't specifically target Bing for our optimization efforts. However, Bing seems to be a little faster at implementing all the AI stuff. So that's definitely something that we're looking into, and that more, let's say, chat-enabled search that Bing is offering. But no, we don't specifically do anything for Bing. It seems to be working on both.
Yeah, we've got search generative experience with Google coming. We've got AI integrated into Bing as well. Is there anything that you have to add on or do additionally to optimize for AI?
What we've done is looking at the customer journey more. Up until recently, we were very focused on, let's say, the converting keywords, so the lower funnel, the end of the funnel. But now we are really trying to create content that has a broader appeal to customers. And since we, again, are made to measure, customers is a little bit scared about measuring for their own windows. So we do a lot of content in the upper funnel, teaching customers to measure and install our products. So yes, we are definitely trying to come in on the SERPs on that more inspirational content, informational content. Yes, definitely. It's not only e-commerce for us. We are trying to be inspirational and informative as well.
How do you know what keyword phrase to aim for in just a single page and what phrase to add to multiple pages? But for instance, I'm thinking of your made to measure type phrase. So initially I would think, okay, it's important. If that's important to our customers, then what we should do is create a single landing page for that phrase made to measure and explain, why our particular blinds are made to measure and why that's beneficial and the selling points of that. But you've identified that that's a phrase that you should incorporate in multiple pages on your site. So how do you know the difference?
Well, because all of our products, different products variation, are made to measure. So everything we do is made to measure. So that became obvious for us to have that on all the pages. So in combination with, let's say, kitchen blinds, made to measure was an obvious one. We looked at the volumes and could see the word search volume for that particular one. So we decided that would be good for all the pages. But we can also see in the search results and see people also ask that there were a lot of questions around how to measure. So all that upper funnel, but also how to install them once you get them to your home. How do we install it? We have a lot of installing videos, obviously, but we weren't really visible around that. So we created a lot of guides, a lot of videos to kind of remove some of that friction and uncertainty when people looking at the product, they search for made to measure blinds. But then we try to create some content that would take that uncertainty of, did I measure right? Am I actually a DIY guy able to install this when I get it home? So we try to take all the, let's say, inspirational installing and do that as more inspirational content, and then have the pure made to measure on our e-commerce pages. So that's how we bring them in made to measure searches with products, and then we have all the inspirational guide to kind of carry them on and convert better.
The challenge with the people who also ask questions is they often don't have any immediate obvious search volume. So you're comfortable optimizing for long tail questions that you can't actually determine if they have any search volume? Yes,
at least for us, it's been, since we are a global e-commerce company and we have e-commerce sites in almost every country selling blinds and curtains, we realized that also from our customer service department, that it was the same questions we get asked over and over and over. How do I measure it? Do you have any guides? How do I install? How do I clean it? So even though at that point when we started it, the volume was not comparable to kind of the word blinds or curtains, obviously. But we could see from customer support and also in Search Console and in people also asked that at least some customers had these kind of questions. And then once we created the content, we could see that the breadth of keywords, once creating these blog posts or informational pages, we started to rank on all kinds of long tail different queries. So it was really worth it for us, even though initially we didn't see huge volume around it. But when we added up to all the sites, all the products, it started making really good sense for us.
Interesting. Okay, so you're saying is that even though strategically you can't guarantee that there's definitely going to be traffic, when you actually do it, you can definitely tell that there's organic traffic available for these questions.
Right, and then it's I think that's more to do with the keyword tools that we have out there, the keyword research tools, and how Google presents it. So I think one of the takeaways is that there can be a vast opportunity in all those long tail queries, rather than going for like the vanity for us blinds and curtains. But really, even though the keyword tools is not showing a huge amount of volume, asking your customer support people what are the pain points that people have, and start creating content around that and expanding on it, was really effective for us. And also for customer support people, we can, when people phone or chat, we can actually refer them to these pages. So they also have a customer support issue, a benefit there as well.
Brilliant. And how do you measure success? Is it all about increasing volumes of organic search traffic, or are you able to actually measure the direct ROI from this traffic that you're building?
In these day and ages where we can't really organically see which keywords convert in analytics, for example, we obviously start from one end. We're looking at rankings and visibility. And then we figure out, where does the visibility come from? Is it actually on the pages we've been working on? We might group them together and see the combined visibility. We go into Search Console and see on these specific pages that we know we've been working on, have they seen an increase in visibilities and clicks and rankings? And in the end, we are looking in our back end and seeing what kind of products are we actually selling. Can we see at least an indicator of what we've been doing has affected our sales? We might ask the customer support people, do you see an increase or a decrease in requests around these, let's say, installing guides and so on? So there's many areas we're looking, but at the end of the day, we're looking in the cash register and seeing how much money we're making, and then seeing if it actually seems to be coming from some of the efforts we're doing. But obviously, rankings and keywords are what we're looking for.
And for your long tail keyword phrases that you're targeting with these questions, do you attempt to do some kind of link building or promotional activity to drive traffic to it? Or is building internal links enough to generate the traffic that you're looking for organically in Google?
That's a really great question, David. And there's a huge difference for us. Our UK site, Blinds to Go, is a 20-year-old site. We can, quote unquote, get away with a lot of things because we have very high authority. We have so many links from so many different sites, and also like the BBC and stuff. So our authority on our big sites is we can basically publish anything and it'll rank, quote unquote. Obviously, if it's not within our theme, then that's harder. But our smaller sites, like newer sites, we need to do some authority building, and we do it from a wide range of perspectives, mainly using, let's say, digital PR. So we work with PR companies, and one I know, our Dutch site just made an arrangement with the Van Gogh Museum in Holland, and then we're doing their prints on some of our stuff. So the collaboration there that this Van Gogh museum is mentioning us, that's a great link. But we also actively pursuing relevant links through PR work, through creating content and nudging, let's say, home improvement sites and so on. So yes, in some cases we actively pursue, let's say, PR on those new content efforts. In the UK, we're doing pretty well, as I mentioned, because it's an old and one of the most authoritative sites. But the newer the site, the more we engage in, let's say, a digital PR and try to get some authority built on the site. Yes.
Okay, but your focus is primarily on the homepage and the brand, as opposed to actually building links to these individual subpages on the site.
Well, we recently launched some products. We call them toolless, where you don't need any tools to install them. And those specific product categories, we reach out to home improvement sites, DIY people, and for that specific product group to get some traction and some mentionings around that whole new product that not has been seen very much in the business. So we're also trying to build awareness around it because it's very new. So in some cases, yes, we go specifically on product groups, on new products, on new initiatives. So yes, we do.
So you've shared what SEO should be doing in 2024. Now let's talk about what SEO shouldn't be doing. So what's something that's seductive in terms of time, but ultimately counterproductive? What's something that SEO shouldn't be doing in 2024?
That's a great question. I like that, the kind of that angle on it. And I've thought about it a little bit, and usually we're good at telling what we want to do. And I think in my case, the answer to the question might be AI, to surprise to some. Recently, we've seen so many examples in the industry where people, let's say, mindlessly build sites and build content from AI, simply have, let's say, JetGPT or whatever it is, build content for them and just publish that without any interference from a human perspective. And it usually works quite well in the beginning, but I think especially Google is very good at figuring that stuff out, and I see rankings decrease a lot. So I think as powerful as AI is, it could also be counterproductive if you're not having that human aspect. I know our copywriters use it, obviously, for inspiration, for guidelines and so, but they really write it through with their own mind afterwards and always find something that really doesn't make sense. So I think it's AI as a general topic. Use it with caution, but use it. I think that's the takeaway.
Rasmus Sørensen is Global SEO Director at Blinds2Go. You can find him over at blinds-2go.co.uk. Rasmus, thanks so much for adding your additional insight to SEO in 2024.
Thanks for having me, David. It was surely my pleasure.
I've been your host, David Bain. You've been listening to an episode of SEO in 2024 Additional Insights, a Majestic series that complements the original SEO in 2024 podcast, video series, and book. Find out more at SEOin2024.com.